She died, but it left me broken completely because she was my youngest little baby. I don't think I lived life after that. And so when I came into hypnotherapy, my first healing session, it was so deeply repressed. I had never gone to it until I came into hypnosis. And this is what was revealed.
But can somebody heal traumas that maybe they don't even know of, or they don't even remember of, maybe from a past life?
Why do we go into past lives is because we are living some sort of effect today. And where are we living that effect is in our body. Why? We don't need to go into past lives otherwise.
Welcome to The Search for Wellness, a podcast dedicated to discovering the path to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Join us on this heartfelt journey as we share inspiring stories, insightful conversations, and practical tips to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
All right. I'd like to introduce another really amazing woman today. Kinneri, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Pooja. I'm Kinneri Parekh. I'm actually an integrated clinical hypnotherapist, a transpersonal regression therapist. I train people for hypnotherapy, for self-development, and to become professional therapists. I have also learned metaphysical anatomy. I'm a counselor, so many hats. And my journey into this field didn't come by chance. It's a lot of pain that I went through emotionally and physically. And that led me into trying to find out the root cause and why I'm going through all this, because it seemed so illogical for me at that time. I went through the allopathy route and there was no answer for me. So what I was going through was a lot of emotional turbulence, and I started getting migraines, and migraines to almost like once or twice a week. And I used to take so many heavy painkillers just to calm myself down. And then my back started giving up. And that to me was calling. Like I needed to find out what more can I do. So initially I went through a lot of painkillers. I had to go through physiotherapy. Chiropractic was so painful. I had no other answer, and I knew that I'm not going to go through this forever. So I started reading these books. You know, The Secret had come out around that time, and it was quite a sensation. And I read and read and read, and it was amazing. And the one thing it told me is the answer is within your mind. And that struck to me that if my mind can do this, then where do I go to learn it? And then as time went by, my now teacher and mentor, he came into town, and I knew that I wanted to do clinical hypnotherapy. First day in that class, first moment, and I knew I had found my answer. The answer that I was looking for, everything that I was going through, I got it through understanding the mind and what the mind is. People think that it's just a functionality. It's not. The mind is a very alive thing in us. It is who we are. And then I went through a series of therapies. Believe it or not, Pooja, my migraines disappeared.
Wow.
My back started healing itself. I have not taken medication. And from then to now, I don't remember a headache I've had.
And
This
how
is
long ago was all of this?
about more than 10 years ago.
And so you've been practicing hypnotherapy and regression therapy for 10 years.
Right.
How do both of them tie into each other?
So hypnotherapy is what I started with. And hypnotherapy is about changing our beliefs, our emotions, and our behavior, basically. So what I learned is that when I went through all this, there was a past I did not know. And it was an emotional past. And so when I healed my emotions, I started changing the way I thought about and believed about things and myself, and my body relaxed. So this is what hypnotherapy does, goes back into the past through hypnosis as a technique. Regression is slightly different in terms of techniques, but what the whole tenet and principle is that if I am not the person I am today, right now, in this present moment, because we all know that the whole spiritual world says that you have to be present, be in the present moment. But if I'm not in the present moment, and if I'm struggling and hijacked by something that I am not now, it means the answer lies in the past. And the past could be my childhood, the past could be a past life as well. And so I tried and I started figuring out. So both hypnotherapy and regression are similar because we go back into the past. It's regressing. It's just the techniques that will take us there. So that's how they actually integrate and tie in and bring us back to what we need to understand what the why is in the past. And the moment I got these logical answers, I understood this is for me completely. And I wanted to do this over and over and over and help people. And as I helped other people, I'm also healing myself because we're all connected.
Exactly. We're all intertwined. We're all connected into this whole experience that we call being human, right?
Being human.
We are energetic beings living we're spiritual beings living a
Human life.
human life.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting also about all of this. A lot of people misunderstand the word hypnotherapy. They think it's some sort of hypnosis. They think that they are going to be hypnotized. And, there's a lot of scary stuff out there. So is it hypnotizing somebody?
Not really. I know, most people, even when I meet them today and then say I'm a hypnotherapist, they're like, oh, don't look into my eyes. Because the first thing that comes to them is, like, am I going to hypnotize them? But this is the world of entertainment and stage shows where there is a bit of mind control. But this is for therapy purposes. And I cannot do anything about a person unless they give me the permission and the willingness, because it's their mind and it's their life. So as a therapist, it is for therapy purposes to help them heal wounds and scars of the past that may be affecting their behavior today.
And when you say that the person has to allow you, they have to give you permission to do all of this. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I totally believe that too. I totally believe that if and only until I give somebody permission to be in my space, to allow them in my space, to allow them in my energetic field, only then they will be allowed in there. So, yeah.
So, like the first say, if a client comes to me, first of all, they have already thought about it. And so the permission is already there that I want to heal something within me that's not working for me today. So that permission is already allowed. So as I take them into the whole hypnosis, the whole technique, it's like a very relaxed, meditative like space. And all we're doing is trying to access the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, as we know, is the most powerful part of us. Like if we think about the mind is not the brain. The brain is the hardware. We can touch it. We know that it's part of our body. But can we touch our thoughts?
No.
So that is the mind. That's like a software program running the hardware. And see, if we have a computer, we know that the computer is the hardware, like you're touching the iPad. But what's running the iPad is the software programs, and that's the mind. So we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. And the conscious mind is what we use every day, like how we're talking right now. We're just thinking, deciding, feeling, analyzing, making decisions for the day. But what the subconscious mind is the deeper mind, is the iceberg under the sea. And it is 90% of everything we are. It's 6,000 times more powerful. And what does it hold is like a database of all our memories, experiences, and the emotions that we feel. And that's why it's very important, because it's these emotions that keep getting triggered over and over in a person's life, and that creates a discomfort or behavior patterns that they are not happy with, habits that they are not happy with. So what we're trying to do through hypnosis is access that mind so that we can go back and heal it. So that once we overcome the emotions, it means it does not have a reason to control us, and we can make a better choice for our lives.
And when you say subconscious mind, is hypnotherapy one of the only ways to tap into the subconscious mind, or are there other ways?
Oh, there are many other ways.
Okay.
There is breath work, there is meditation, there are dancing. You can do a lot. But what is this direct way of doing it is hypnosis or regression, because this is the only way. So if I tell you, like, if you meditate is like going into a swimming pool through the steps. but hypnosis is going right in from the diving board. So from the diving board, if you go down, you'll go even deeper, right? So with meditation, people do feel a lot of emotions. They cry, there are tears, they feel pain in the body. But sometimes we don't know what this is all about. We do feel it because whatever we go through in life, if we have not digested it emotionally, it will go and settle in our subconscious mind and it will affect our body. So we do feel it whenever, even in dancing, even in breath work, when we actually do breath work, we feel pain and ache.
Yeah.
And so, what is it trying to tell us? That there is something unresolved. But hypnotherapy, regression, these are extremely transformative, specialized ways of healing a person at a deeper level and through clarity and wisdom. Because we can understand when we go back and relive, we'll be able to understand what made me feel this way. And then it does not have that control anymore.
And when we talk about reliving a moment, sometimes, you have those moments in life where, why does this keep happening to me? Almost like to say, this keeps happening to me. It's because there's something that we have not learned yet from that experience. And that's why that experience keeps repeating. It's like almost like a repeated pattern that keeps happening in our life, keeps happening. Because there's something there that we need to resolve before we can move forward.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that if you did hypnotherapy and regression, you could actually resolve that so that you could move forward. And when we talk about the subconscious mind, when we're sleeping, when we're in a dream state, we're also in our subconscious mind and we're using that part of our innate ability. But oftentimes we don't remember it.
Yes.
We wake up and that's it. We don't even remember what we were dreaming about or where we were, but we were in a dream state. We were in a healing state. And when we are now, like here, me and you were talking, we're using our conscious mind, which is our prefrontal cortex, which is what we're using to reason, think, resolve, talk, do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I find all of this very fascinating. But I wanted to know a little bit more about why regression therapy would be like the right thing. Like, let's say for me, if I wanted to resolve something, like give me an example of something that I would need to resolve. How would regression be and hypnotherapy be beneficial for me?
Okay. So let me give you my own example, then
Okay.
maybe that will find clarity. So I said I went through a lot of emotional and physical issues. So where did they stem from? So when I went back in time, one of my sessions, it was very initial sessions, I've had a couple of very traumatic experiences in my life, and it had to do with death. So when I was about 8 years old, we lost our younger sister, number 3 sister. I'm the eldest in the family. I was only 8 years old and I didn't know much about death. I was just a happy-go-lucky, carefree kid. And this happened. And what happened is my parents, being from loving and present, they were going through their own grief. And I didn't know that. And I felt they were withdrawing. And so from very happy, loving parents, they became withdrawn. And I was very close to my father. And he became an angry, withdrawn father. And I thought I had done something wrong, and which is why he was like this with me. My first conclusion there was, I've done something wrong. That conclusion brought a feeling, an emotion of feeling that I'm unworthy. I'm unworthy of his love. I'm not deserving of his love. And what was my coping strategy was to do everything right so that he feels I'm not at fault, which means I was trying to prove everything. My whole life has been spent in trying to prove that I've done nothing wrong. That is a lot of work, a lot of energy. And layer upon layer, every experience that I had after that growing up was only trying to prove that I'm not wrong, which means all my experiences in my life made me feel I've made a mistake. That was so conflicting in my mind. I wanted to believe that I'm okay, but something within me said, I'm not okay. I've done something wrong. So at work, with relationships, I kept trying to prove myself. And the way it hit me was that I was very fearful. I doubted myself. I had no belief in myself. My confidence levels were all-time low. And this kept festering because I had not dealt with it. And it manifested in my energy space and then in my body. I started getting the headaches because I was so conflicted inside. I could not hold myself. And every time I had such an experience, I was only triggered, that's all I was. This is where I understood my past and why my patterns were like that. And then the second one that happened was another death, my youngest sister. That time I was 18. And that I was present to it because I was already grown up and I experienced it. She died in a motorbike accident and I was with her.
Wow, sorry.
So she died, but it left me broken completely because she was my youngest little baby.
Yeah.
And I shut down. I don't think I lived life after that. And so when I came into hypnotherapy, my first healing session, it was so deeply repressed. I had never gone to it until I came into hypnosis. And this is what was revealed. It broke me down because I had not dealt with it. Pooja, that one session, after that, I have not felt that pain.
And this was from this life.
This is this life.
But can somebody heal traumas that maybe they don't even know of, or they don't even remember of, maybe from a past life?
Yes, absolutely. Because why do we go into past lives is because we are living some sort of effect today. And where are we living that effect is in our body. Why? We don't need to go into past lives otherwise. So, for example, let me talk about myself. I mean, I've had that as well. And so, why regression therapy also touched me was I used to feel that no matter what I'm learning, there's a brain fog. I couldn't go past a certain place. And then I had to remember, I had to like think, why everybody's getting it? Why don't I get it? There was a brain fog. And then I did a past life as we were learning the transpersonal regression. And I came into a life where I was a drug addict.
Oh, okay.
And I was injecting myself and I died of an overdose. That's the whole gist of it. The funny part is after that, I would have probably said it's just a mind game. I don't know. But the funny part is that after that, my mind is sharper. That's the whole proof of it.
It's much sharper.
It's sharper. This
Yeah.
is the change. And so my belief was set that there is something so powerful within us, in our mind, that we really don't know. It's only in accessing it and understanding it that we're able to heal, get clarity and wisdom to overcome it. Yeah.
And I know that you're a big believer in the connection of the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul, and the emotional energy field that we are surrounded by. So am I. And I know that all of this stuff is a very powerful tool when it comes to connecting to all of that. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So how are we connected, mind, body, soul? We say that, right? So if we look at the mind, where does it all start? We all have a mind. And what is it that we do with the mind? The first thing is thinking. The mind is all about thinking, so it starts with a thought. We have about 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And all those thoughts are, some are neutral, some are not, but majority of it is a recurring thought. Like what we thought yesterday is what we're going to think today. And a lot of our thoughts are also negative thoughts. And this is where we are. So where does it all come from? The thoughts we have are connected to the perceptions we have about our life. And the perceptions come from our conditioning. When we grow up in a family or a household, the most vulnerable stage or suggestible stage we have is from the time we are born or even from our mother's womb into the time we are 8 years old. And our conditioning creates our thought patterns, our perceptions, and our beliefs about life. So these thoughts based on perceptions creates the emotions we feel. So for example, a child who probably, a mother is feeding a child, maybe 1 or 2 years old, and suddenly a mom receives a phone call, and the mom leaves the feeding the child and goes to the phone call. The first thing a child will feel, oh my God, she's left me. Does it mean that she doesn't love me? That's why she's gone away. Imagine a child feels that. That will create a belief system.
Yeah.
And that belief system now over and over, if the child feels that for many experiences after that, it will layer in the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
That will start manifesting in our energy space, our chakras. And we find blockages because we have created a belief system. If not healed or if not done anything about, it will manifest in our body as a discomfort and disease. That's why thought, emotion, energy, and body are all connected. And so when we go back to healing, we're healing at the process of the thought, because it all started from how we perceived a thought, how we felt, how it affected our energy space, and how it starts manifesting in our body. And that's precisely what happened to me. And then when I started healing from the thought and my beliefs, my emotions, my body started relaxing, and it didn't have a reason now to hold that pain.
Yeah.
And so this is how we're connected. Now, when we talk about the soul, I don't know if I can give you an analogy again of the computer.
Yeah.
So the mind is the computer. The body is the hardware. The mind is the software. Now, our soul, or what we call is our power bank. So we could have an iPad here, and we could be sitting here, but if we don't plug into the power, will the iPad work?
No.
No, right? So we need that power, the soul power, the consciousness to flow into us to live our lives, without which it is useless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we're all always born with a purpose.
Yes.
We all have this purpose that we come into this planet. And most of the time we forget that we have this purpose, and then we go misaligned with our purpose. And then something like a disease will come into the body to bring you back into alignment, to bring you back into the right place. And I think that's what happened with me in my journey. Could you talk a little bit more about chakras? I don't think many people understand, or maybe even don't even believe in, what we call the chakras. Some people call them the energy centers. And obviously in our Hindu scriptures, we call them the chakras. But a lot of people recently have started to develop this idea about the chakras and started to believe more and more into them. So maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more into the chakras.
Yeah, so chakras are energy vortices.
Yeah.
And we have many, but there are seven main energy vortices. And then we, of course, have the minor chakras. But what our chakras are, if I say like the trunk of a tree. So the body is the trunk of the tree.
Yeah.
And the energy centers are around, which means the body is in the energy centers, if that makes sense. And what the chakras do is work with our emotions. Because when we talk of the subconscious mind, the energy, this subconscious mind is the energy, and this subconscious mind is connected to our chakras. So every time we have an unhealed emotion, the first thing it does is affects our energy vortices. These are energy vortices that bring us the universal energy for us to function well. Because the physical body is just a physical body. But the energy body is what makes us function well, because we have about 72,000 meridians. And these meridians are located in the chakras.
72,000 meridians.
Yeah.
And they're located in the chakras.
In the chakras. We
Okay.
don't have it in the body.
Okay.
And these are the chakras when we talk of acupuncture, acupressure, reflexology, energy healing that we do. What we're doing is trying to unblock these energy meridians, because these energy meridians, if blocked, they will affect the body after that through our organs. So the physical body is in the chakras. The chakras are around us, and these are energy vortices that bring us the universal life force. And this universal life force is blocked through our emotional stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast was created to inspire and connect with people. If you are liking the content of this podcast, hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and share this platform. Lots of love.
And if these energy centers are around us, obviously that affects our energy field. So who we let into our energy field can be easily affected by that. Is there like something that regression helps with when it comes to that? Like, what do we call them? Energy vampires?
Absolutely. So yes. So let me say today I would have woken up maybe upset, or something would have triggered me and I get angry. The first thing it will hit is my energy space. My energy space becomes a little weaker. And when the energy space is a little weaker, because it's supposed to protect the body, right? And we go out, maybe we go to a place where it's very public, like mall, and we're not actually okay within ourselves emotionally. We resonate with the emotion we are feeling, we resonate with other things that are around us. Maybe other people are angry, or they're fighting, or something's happening, or mother is angry with a child, or whatever. That resonance can come to us. And this happens with death as well. Like, say for example, I am very much emotionally distressed. Maybe I'm feeling extremely helpless, and here I am. I may not have to be in a public place, but I am just there. And you know, when death happens and people die, the souls or spirits are disembodied, which means they are connected. Whatever at death somebody feels, and they feel like, for example, we have deaths by accidents and people feel absolutely shocked or helpless. Here I am feeling helpless. There is a resonance with somebody feeling helpless. What are the chances that it cannot come and attach to my energy space? And this has happened in my work. This is a lot of these things I do. So when we go into regression, because this energy that has come to us will try to indirectly affect us because it's attached to our energy space. So there are things we do, we release them from our energy space through regression, or even hypnotherapy for that matter. When somebody is in a state of trance, we are more hyper suggestible and vulnerable, right? So we are able to understand if there's anything that is not ours that is in our space. We will be able to pick it up immediately, whether it's other people's emotions or whether it's outside influences.
I'm very, very careful about who
Yeah.
I share my energy with now. And what you said is so right. Like, I remember in the past, if I was having a bad day and if I felt angry, everything else was annoying me around me. Every other person was also angry around me. And it was just a reflection of my energy because I was leveling myself at that frequency level, and that person's energy was leveling at that frequency level. Whereas now I'm so careful about it, and I'm so like, if I have good energy and I've filled my cup properly, I'm very careful about who I share my energy with. And I think for me, one of the things that has always really helped me is grounding. As soon as I feel like I have been with somebody who's leached my energy, who's zapped my energy, because sometimes we can't control the situation, right? First thing I need to do is run and sit in the garden or in the grass and just ground and just be connected to nature, be connected to Mother Earth. So just bring me back to me.
Just breathe.
Yeah.
Breathing and grounding. The other thing is puja. When we are in a grip of any emotion, and this is my first experience, that when I am in an emotional turmoil, there's so much I'm not accepting of myself.
Yeah.
See, we are people who are in this world, humans, and who face the light and dark. It's not just one way or the other. But a lot of times what I did was run away because my conditioning, like we are conditioned and we have these beliefs or what do you call it, invisible ways of our conditioning, that you're not supposed to do this. This is how you're supposed to be. If you do this, then you're bad. You know, our conditioning, our whole how we are brought up is with a lot of conditioning.
A lot of fear.
A lot of, not only fear, conditioning, that
But,
we
but,
can't.
but a lot of this conditioning
Yeah.
has led to a lot of fear, like fear mongering almost in your mind.
Absolutely.
Like where you're like, if I don't do this, then this will happen. If I don't, and then procrastinating.
Something like men don't need to cry. Men can't cry. But we can express, we are humans, so we are stopping ourselves from expressing, right?
Exactly.
So what we do is, this positive thinking has also come from there, that, you know how we're told in moments of grief or in moments of loss or in moments of emotional turmoil, no, don't feel like this, be strong. We're not allowed to express ourselves. So then we've a lot of us have started believing into this positive thinking idea that if I think positive, things will go okay. If I think positive. But how are we gauging that positivity based on what? There is negativity, right? That's why we're tilting towards that. So for me, in my learning, the one thing I learned is to accept. It's not about judging one or the other. Because when we're running away from something that gave us pain and moving towards no pain, we're leaving that pain behind. And it's in embracing that pain that we are healing. And so when we heal that, our energy space will calm down.
Exactly.
We don't need to then worry because we are then emotionally stable. The moment we run away from one or the other, then we are putting up ourselves for more fear and not acceptance.
And you know, when you said about the whole men don't cry,
Yeah.
that's also a belief system that they've been brought up with, because I know for a fact, I remember growing up, it's like, stop crying like a girl. That was the term. If a little boy was crying, the mom or a family member or somebody, that was the word they used. The wording was also so wrong. It was like, stop crying like a girl. Girls are the ones who cry. Boys don't cry. And I just was like, no. Like with my kids, with my boys, I'm like, no, cry it out. Please cry it out. Release it from the system. Your tears are salty for a reason.
Absolutely. And I love this new age way of also handling kids. You moms are doing a great job because, I mean, I guess from our parents, there was more unawareness and ignorance that they didn't do it out of malice, but they didn't know.
They didn't know any better either, right?
So we were brought up in that this you can't do, this you can do, and there was so much superstition around. And you know, the one thing that we were told, if you don't eat, that dragon will come or some witch will come. And so we are built into that belief and fear that if we don't do this in this way, then something will come and harm us.
Exactly.
They didn't know in their unawareness, but this has actually affected us at a deeper level. So going back in time with regression therapy, healing that child, understanding, because the child is cocooned in their own way of feeling at that age, in that mindset. They don't know what the clarity is. So as me, as adult Kinneri of today, if I were to go and help my inner child, all I need to do is help her, sit with her and ask her, what does she need in that moment that she didn't get? The moment that emotion is handled, literally the subconscious mind, what I had trapped and cocooned and locked, is free.
It's freed, right?
And that means that I am literally helping myself at all levels of my being. Then I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to fester, and I don't need to create patterns out of it and habits, because we need to cope with life.
Yes.
So when I told you that I was trying to prove, that was my biggest coping mechanism. The day I learned that, I stopped proving myself. I don't need to, which means I'm returning to myself. And the one thing that happens is, and which is what most people don't know, is when I was cocooned in my emotional stress, so much of my energy was going into trying to prove and repress more and more of that feeling. Which means the energy and the resources that I should have had for me at the present me was missing. So the moment I free that, I am freeing that energy to come back to me, to live with me, so that I can progress and not regress all the time and not be triggered.
Give me an example of like one of your clients, one of your patients that you have helped, that you've seen some dramatic change.
So one comes to my mind, which is phenomenal. It is ridiculous how it happened. So this girl came to me, and she had come to me because she had physical issues. So what was happening, I had worked with her for a few sessions, and she was getting better. And then all of a sudden, her cortisol levels were fluctuating. And she'd gone for tests, and the doctor said, now we're going to put you on steroids because we can't find the root cause and we don't know what's happening. So change your diet. You're not going to eat certain foods, and we're going to put you on steroids. She was so frightened because we know the side effects. And so she said, do you think we can find out, like, I'm really frightened, what's happening? Pooja, one session only.
One session?
And we went back to the root cause of her deepest fear. What's happening? What's creating the fluctuation? Because we know when cortisol levels are fluctuating, there's a deep sense of fear, and the fight or flight mechanism in us has awakened. So she's all the time on the edge, which is affecting her body, right? One session, and we went back to the root cause of her fear. And what it was so strange that they were playing in a garden. I think there were 3 or 4 kids. And she was waiting with her mother at the door, just observing the kids. She was about 3 years old. And suddenly she finds that her grandmother comes from behind, runs into the garden, but bypasses her mother. So she was holding her mother's hand. The grandmother brushed against the mother, which means it ruffled the mother. And this child was so frightened that something will happen to my mom. That was not the reason, but that's how she felt. Something's going to happen to my mother, which means my survival is going to be very affected.
Yeah.
Her whole life, all she's trying to do is overcome this fear, including her going into university was affected. So, what was the truth of the matter? The grandmother ran into the garden because there were children playing. And what made the grandmother run was that she saw a snake.
Okay.
Now, this girl in her mind might have seen the snake and she might have registered that the grandmother was going because there was a snake. So the fear was there, but in her conscious mind, the only thing in her survival was that something will happen to my mom. So she was on the edge all the time. And she told me that she didn't even go to university, certain universities where she was told that there may be snakes coming out in the compound.
So she had basically
So she
developed
chose,
a fear of snakes.
so she even chose her universities based on that. After that session, 3 weeks later, she calls me because she went for tests again. The cortisol levels were
Normal. Everything was back to
I
normal.
mean, you can't find more phenomenal stuff than
And
that.
in one session.
In
that
one
is.
session.
Wow.
And then we had another one. This is a very recent one, and she had epilepsy. And fits means there's something you're not in control of. Seizures are like you literally are losing control. And I mean, she had a very traumatic childhood, and growing up, she obviously had a lot of trauma that we sorted out. And then after that, I was not planning, or this just happened very spontaneously. And in the session, she had a seizure. And we went back to her deepest feeling of panic. After that, she's not had, I'm talking of like 2-3 months after, she messages me what her progress is. And she's monitoring there are no fits. She doesn't get fits. And this was a regular thing she used to get.
Amazing. That is so amazing.
Ridiculous.
So people basically, you're saying that somebody doesn't even need to come to you many times. They can come to you for one session and they can heal
Yeah.
something that is so traumatic
Absolutely.
in one session.
So patterns for releasing habits and certain patterns, of course, we need a few sessions. But some things when they are very heaviest and the subconscious mind knows it, it's possible.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be that deep rooted.
It doesn't have to be. It's just something particular.
Is there anything you think we have not spoken about today that is very important?
What I would say is when we're talking of the mind, I believe that we must know that we are the creators of our own journey, destiny, and life, which means we can't blame anybody. And most people, all of us, me included, have blamed so many people that this is because of this that I feel this, or it's because of that person that I feel this. But what I realized is that everything that I created in my life was from my inner self, from my emotions, my thoughts, emotions, how I perceived life to be and how I coped with life. So I can't blame anybody for what I'm going through. This is my journey, and this is what I should resolve so that I am at peace with myself. And so stop blaming others. Learn to reflect, what is this teaching me if an experience comes? What is this experience teaching me about me? And we will definitely find the reason. And most people deal with few emotions. There is anger, there is helplessness, there is guilt, and there is fear. So the first three, anger, helplessness, and guilt, take us back into the past, and then we are triggered over and over. And a lot of fear and anxiety that comes up is fear and worry of the future.
Yes.
The past is over and the future hasn't happened. And that takes away us being present with ourselves. The more we are present with ourselves, the more life will work for us.
Yeah.
So healing the past will resolve the present, and so will the future change as well, because we are transient, we're not fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can change your future. You can change
Absolutely.
the energetic pattern out there in
Yeah.
the future. By just being in the present moment and deciding what you want your outcome to be in the future, and also creating that emotion. Because
Completely.
everything is triggered and led by the emotion that you feel at
Absolutely.
that moment. Is there anything you would like to ask me?
Pooja, what would you think? I mean, you're also in the mind, body, soul healing. Maybe it's what your take is, as we've talked about it today, and the importance that I am putting on the subconscious work, our emotions, because our emotions are the most important. We are driven by emotions.
We live in a physical body and we serve the physical body. We do everything for the physical body. And the last thing we forget to do, and we leave it to the end, is the emotional, the mental, the mind, the emotions, how we are feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that what you are doing and all of this stuff, that all this kind of work, it's so essential, because if you can first work with the emotional body, if you can work with your mind, if you can bring all of that in alignment, then the physical body will come after.
Yes.
But we are working in opposite. And everything that we've, again, to do with our belief system, we've been taught and we've been understood to believe that everything works in reverse. So we first try to nurture the mind. We start to nurture the external. It's all about the outside more. We live in such an imperfect world, right? But yet we try to create so much perfection, and we try to put so much pressure on ourselves to create such perfection when it comes to our external, again, our hair, our nails, our makeup, our weight, the way we look, the way we act, the way we feel. But all of that is all driven by our emotional body. So if we can feel and work and understand our emotional body better and connect to our emotional body better, then the physical body will glow, will shine, will do whatever it needs to do as a result of how the emotions are.
Absolutely. And when you say that, going away from acceptance, the moment we accept ourselves, because we are imperfect and we are meant to be, because this is the journey. Mm-hmm. And there is perfection in that imperfection as well.
Exactly.
So it's accepting ourselves that is the key and most important, because none of us do. We're trying to gauge things from outside, and it makes us feel imperfect and incapable and less.
Exactly.
So thank you, Pooja. I think this is amazing.
Where can people find you?
I have a healing center called Soul Sanctuary. It's in Second Parklands, and people are most welcome. My number, I guess you can
What
share.
I'll do is
Yes.
I'll keep your number private, and then what I'll do is I'll share it with whoever reaches out to me. I will share maybe your email address, if you have a website and everything.
Yes.
I'll share that on the captions of the episode. But honestly, this was amazing. It was really enlightening. I feel like I've learned a lot, because I also didn't know much about regression and hypnotherapy. And I would love to come and try a session with you, even though I don't think I have anything physically to deal with, but I think there's always something out there that could be worked on better.
Yes, and even just a session of hypnotherapy, just going through just the state of hypnosis is amazing. And I wanted to just add, it's a very natural state. It's not something you have to create, because we are under hypnosis several times a day.
Totally.
Yeah, we are in an altered state. Think about when we go to sleep at night, when we're reading a book and then our eyes are closing, but you want no, I must finish that one page. And we're in between that awakened sleep state. We are already in an altered state, in a trance. When we wake up in the morning, do we just get up and go? No. We take time. Maybe we say, it's just time to wake up. Let me take one more minute. And we're just trying to come back to ourselves. We are in an altered state. Mm-hmm. So just not thinking of it as something I need to do. It's a very natural state. When we are emotionally entangled, we are already in an altered state. We are in the trance of that emotion, because it's already regressed us. And then it's just the brain waves that we go through, right? What is an altered state? It takes us to a theta state or an alpha state. And when we are in a dream, we are in a theta state.
Exactly.
So it is a very natural state. Imagine we're watching a movie, and you know how women watch these TV serials. They get so emotional when they're literally identifying with everything. When the other personality is crying, the actor, they start crying. So they are already in hypnotism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So not to think that hypnosis is an unknown, it's a very known state. We just have to relax ourselves and go into that space, which is so powerful.
So not to basically overthink
Not
things.
to overthink. Surrender and just let it be, because it's a very natural state.
Well, on that high note of not overthinking things, I'd like to thank you for being here today and for sharing all of this with us. And I'd love to come and try a session too.
Please do. It would be amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.